Hello, everybody, and welcome again to another one of my podcasts. If you're listening on wherever you're listening, on Spotify, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, hello. If you're watching on YouTube, hello. Delighted to be joined today by Christina and Eric. Hello, Christina.
Hi. Thanks for having us.
Hello, Eric.
Hello. Thank you for having us.
My absolute pleasure. Now, we have Stop the Sales Drop, which is both of yours mantra. And the focus around today's discussion is going to be account-based marketing. And I think I know what account-based marketing is, but I do believe, a bit like social selling, that over the years, it's kind of lost what its true sense is. I know that both of you, in terms of your business, you're very much about getting the focus back in what this actually means and how sales teams, marketing teams can truly benefit from account-based marketing when deployed properly. Like anything in life, when it's done properly, there is huge success behind it. So without further ado, I'll let you decide who's going to go first in maybe getting a bit of background on both of you, and then we can dive into unpacking what account-based marketing is and then go from there. So you know what, I'm going to pick Eric. You go first. Who are you? What's your background? And what's Stop the Sales Drop all about?
Sure. I'm the CEO of both Stop the Sales Drop and Personal ABM. Stop the Sales Drop is our educational arm, our event arm of the business, Personal ABM, which is about taking a one-on-one account-based marketing approach to win, protect, and expand specific accounts that clients want to win. So that is our execution. So now we have the execution and the education part of the aspect that's where both play. We created Stop the Sales Drop because Personal ABM is focused solely on revenue versus leads versus awareness. We want to, as we said, win those accounts, or we want to expand. We want margin growth. And as clients saw pauses in their business, they scaled back in their marketing, which means we needed to make a shift in our own business.
Yeah.
Didn't want to have any impacts to us.
Yeah.
Wanted to, and that's where we came in play. Is like, want to build relationships with people like yourself. Yeah. Those that we brought into the training. We want to build relationships with people that are listening to the trainings and our events and our virtual summits. So that's where it was about building those relationships. So then we can come out even stronger than when we were before the C19. So that's where Stop the Sales Drop came in, because there's always going to be internal, there's always going to be external factors that lead to sales plateaus, sales drops, and sales troughs. Yeah. And it's those times that we need to make shifts. And one of those shifts is how we connect with our target audience. How do we connect with those prospects? Make a more personal connection versus taking this volume numbers game where there is no relevance. And that's what Personal ABM is about.
Perfect. Christina, so your background, how do you fit into all of this with Eric and both of your vision of where you want to go in terms of helping sales stop the drop, as it were?
Well, I'm the president of both Personal ABM and Stop the Sales Drop. I play more of a operational implementation role. So I'm working with our clients to, Eric is more of the strategy and content person, and then I actually implement it on different platforms. And we've been working together over 10 years now. So strictly B2B and techs, software, so SaaS type of things, and some professional service firms, but more on the technology side, and then with logistics companies and any tech that they might offer as well. But it's more about, hence the name Personal ABM, taking the account-based marketing approach and then putting more of a personal relevance and almost like a put every account under a microscope. So every particular target or account is different, and it's not just a mass approach.
not just a mass approach, and we're seeing a lot of that online at the moment. So the fact that your business, Personal ABM, has been going for 10 years or so would suggest that this concept of account-based marketing is nothing new in the world of sales and marketing. So let's break it down. How do you describe, or how do you see what account-based marketing is? Because I see a lot of talk around what people think it is and isn't, a bit like social selling, digital selling, modern selling. We were saying before we came live, I saw on Twitter the other day, apparently there's now account-based engagement, which when I delved into it, I said, I'm pretty sure that's account-based marketing, just with a different term to it. But okay, if that's what you want to call it, go for it. So, Christina, I'll let you lead on that. What's your take on what ABM really is?
What we have seen ABM being is more of speaking at industries and speaking at actual groups of companies versus our approach, taking that personal account-based approach. You create your LinkedIn profile or any kind of profile that you have on different platforms, your content and messaging to speak those specific accounts, and more importantly, the specific human buyers within those accounts. So you want specific prospects to see your interaction with them, whether it's your profile, whether it's invite to connect, any kind of nurture in mail, and show them that you understand them and what they're thinking, what they're going through, why they're going through it at this time, depending on what's going on in their market, in their internal company, internally, and that you have a solution for them. So you want them to be, or you want to be viewed as a partner, not necessarily, a salesperson or just someone who's just trying to pitch them. So we want to make sure that everything that we look or send to a prospect or a target, it doesn't read like a template, doesn't read like it wasn't personalized at all. So that's where we're coming in from.
So Personal ABM is, rather than be a campaign, it focuses on the interactions you have with specific key decision makers and influencers within targeted accounts. You want to win, protect, and expand. The 3 types of ABM. There's one-to-many. This is where sales and marketing speaks at industries. They have 500 plus accounts. These are the accounts that also bring you probably the smallest margins, because I do not have any relevance beyond industry relevance. If I'm speaking to hundreds of accounts, I'm not going to get relevant with them. So those that respond are already looking for a solution. They have a predefined vision, which means they're going to look for the most capabilities, the most features that meets their needs at the lowest price. You have a 1 in 4 chance, or maybe even less, of winning here, and margins are this much smaller. You then have 1 to few. Here you start to get some relevance. You get company relevance, but this is where sales and marketing, they speak at accounts. What they forget to do is that every person within an account has a different value that they want. What's valuable to Christina is going to be different to me. A gap is going to impact me differently than Christina. We both have different roles. We both have different focuses. But yet, when we take a 1 to few approach, we're still speaking to all the buying centers in the same way. So we're not speaking to people. We're speaking at accounts. Personal ABM is where we're focusing on the people within those accounts that we want. So we're speaking to them. Messages are written for them versus reading like you just took some information off my profile and pasted it into a template. And you can just know, if I took away that personalization, that it's being sent to thousands of others. Yet speaking at an account and speaking at companies and industries and not to people. We have to make where we come and we're resonating with that person, where profiles are speaking to accounts and the people we want on LinkedIn. Our messaging, our emails, our content, even our live selling conversations. We have to speak to the people and get personal relevance versus making it seem like it's a numbers game. And that's what it's about.
So that's an interest, and again, I like this. If I kind of, and this is the weird thing for me. So I've been in sales for the best part of 20 years. Came from the recruitment world, where it's just me. I own the deal, cradle to grave. Smash the phones out, 100 cold calls because that's all I could do. You get the meeting, you go for the pitch, you create your own pitch document, you then sell, and then you deliver in terms of finding the candidate. But we were trained to do exactly what you've just described in terms of this has to be the kind of that one-to-one conversation, because when you get that 30 second call or that 30-second kind of elevator pitch, that's what you then have to do. And as I then started to scale on the accounts that I then had to manage, I was like drilled it into the teams that were looking after them. Look, this is how this account wants to be looked after. These are the key people you need to be talking to. This is how they want to be talked to. This is when they want to be talked to. If it's not recorded in CRM, we're going to have a big problem because I need to see what's going on. And if you deviate from this, we're going to have a big, even bigger problem. And that's what the business did. And we were very successful within our team. And I guess what I'm hearing is, and this is kind of what I want to come on to say, is that what you're saying is current sales and marketing across, social email is just not personal. It's just the blanket spray and pray, tick box, done. And I believe, and I was discussing this earlier today, actually, I believe that it was actually a LinkedIn Sales Solutions live demo, and they're talking about KPIs. And KPIs need to be aligned to the customer and the customer outcome, not the sales outcome, which is very short term, typically month or quarter, driven by trying to drive shareholder value or dividends or what have you, which just loses focus in terms of what I'm trying to achieve. So for me, what you're describing is not actually anything new, but that's a big shift in mindset, right? That's a big shift in mindset for the salespeople and the marketing teams, but also further up the food chain in terms of the types of reporting that is currently generated through sales ops, sales enablement, what have you, to keep management, and for those who are listening, I'm doing inverted commas, happy.
Yes, it is, because we're all focused on leads, we're focused on awareness, but it's got to become where marketing even becomes accountable for revenue.
Okay.
Marketing and sales needs to work together. Marketing needs to work with accounts where we can expand, we can protect those accounts. We have to be able to work from leadership down. We need to follow a buying vision, make sure that our communications, and we're showing where our unique value is, because most differentiation is focused on features. We're not focusing on how we're uniquely filling a gap within that prospect's account. So it is a top to bottom approach that is all focused on revenue objectives, meeting and aligning with the customers, as you mentioned, so we could drive stronger growth. It's no longer, and it shouldn't be about leads. If the leads aren't going anywhere and most leads just get stuck, what good is it?
Yeah. And
we need to be able to have a better interaction, a better experience. And we can't have this experience if we're not relatable. And we're not going to be relatable unless we start driving that relevance in all communications, in all channels.
So let's start to break this down a bit, because at the moment we're kind of talking quite high level theory, what needs to happen. And I've looked on your website. I mean, you're working with some big brands. There are some big blue chip brands that you have on your client roster. So some big beasts that need to be shifted in terms of process, thoughts, etc. So how do you actually? I'm asking this really badly. Where do you start? How do you start this conversation internally with an organization, going, look, what you're currently doing isn't working. There's a better, more effective way of doing it. This is kind of the roadmap, all the sort of things that you need to think about and consider. So Christina, let you take that one.
Yeah, I think maybe the term account-based marketing is a little deceiving. People think that it's only for marketing, but it should be account-based marketing and account-based sales. Mm-hmm. It's in a cultural shift that everyone needs to make, and a lot of companies like to say that they're customer-centric. And I think when they mean customer-centric, that they mean they are focusing on their customers' success but they don't switch their marketing or their any kind of content they're putting out to be focused on the actual customer. I see that misalignment there. I don't see how you can say that you're customer centric and then everything you talk about is your company and what you offer, and not how it's actually helping and showing results. The customer has to be first in all kinds of conversations, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that are driving the revenue. So it
is, and I think what I find almost depressingly hilarious at the moment is that all these big firms are coming out again, big advisory firms, going, "Hey, COVID-19 has said that we need to be more customer centric. We need to put ourselves in our clients' shoes more." Hey, and I'm like, what? Seriously? We've been talking about this for like so long.
Years.
We're still talking about it. And it comes, again, I know that I do a lot of work in the professional service space, and on Twitter there are a lot of general counsel saying, if I get one more email from a law firm about force majeure and what that means for contracts being broken because of COVID, I'm literally gonna lose it. I just want them to pick up the phone to me and see how I'm doing at a human level. That's putting yourself in your customer's shoes. But before let's not digress there. So this is about putting yourself in your customer's shoes. Let's look at that then. How do you help sales teams, marketing teams genuinely do that, rather than just pay, to your point, lip service to it in terms of what you're doing?
With our clients, with our sales and marketing, we teach them to focus on account-specific gaps where the personal impacts are. But we do this, and it even goes back to your first question: how do we get everyone on board? We even do this not only for our clients' sales and marketing, but we do this with our own clients and show them where their gaps are, where their impacts. And just for example, we start to look at where the profiles, their website communications, their social communications, and show them where they're not relevant. Now, there was a LinkedIn sales study reported earlier this year after C19, and they reported that 44% of organizations are seeing significant drops in responsiveness. Now, we know that buyers are still wanting to engage with experts that can help them with their current challenges and future challenges. So I don't think, and Christina didn't think, that it really was anything to do with C19, with the responsiveness. It's the fact that everyone's now going from traditional to digital. We're trying to expand our network so much. We're pushing out messaging. We're pushing out invites. There's no relevance there. So we even started doing a study on profiles, on messaging. And I think, Christina, you and the team were reviewing, I think, like 100 to 200 LinkedIn profiles a day. And we figured we would see over time that they would change. People would try to be more aligned with their buyers, but the trend didn't change. And we found that 95 to 99% was irrelevant. Chris, you want to talk a little bit about that? I know it's your study.
This is very funny that you bring this up, only because the results were kind of sad. The study that Eric's talking about was LinkedIn's 2020 State of the Sales Report, and that's that he's referencing. A lot of people were not talking consistency, things that we saw across the board. They weren't telling a relevant business story for prospects, so they weren't taking them through the whole buyer's journey that Eric had alluded to, making that emotional human connection. And because people are social distancing, and it looks like we're going to be continuing for who knows how long, connection, that human-to-human connection is more important now than ever, and it's just going to get worse and worse. So people actually have to make a human connection and speak directly to these accounts that they want, or anyone they're trying to either maybe get funding for if they're looking for investors. So they're not tailoring their messaging or tailoring their profile or whatever kind of content they're putting out. However, it's packaged in a case study article, whatever. They're not teaching for differentiation and showing unique value. So why are you different? And not just, again, like Eric said, not just saying, well, we have X, Y, and Z features that our competitors don't. They need to see how you're going to fill a gap that they necessarily have. Prospects need to see this, and the personal impacts that you're going to have to them in their role, whether it's their department, but more importantly, their individual role. And most of the time, what we saw for that, looking at profiles and what people are just kind of doing, and we looked at sales and marketing people mostly, just to give a reference. No customer stories throughout any kind of content to support the claims that they're making. So there are a lot of these blanket claims that we have XYZ% of increase, but I have to take your word for it because I don't see any examples.
No social proof.
Exactly. Social proof but it's on our website. But if I have to go looking for it, then do the homework for me type of thing. Another thing that we saw that I'm sure you've seen this as well, is a lot of profiles are resumes as opposed to building trust with the prospects or your customers or whoever it is you're trying to engage with. Because if I see a list of your previous employers, the roles and your accomplishments, sales quotas you've hit, your awards you've won, I automatically, my defenses come up and I say, okay, I'm going to connect with this person, or I'm going to engage with this person, and they're going to try to pitch me or set me up on a demo call within 5 seconds. So those kind of things are good if those kind of, awards and achievements are awesome if you're selling sales training.
Yeah.
Because that's what, somebody who's looking for that is going to want. But if you're trying to sell to an actual individual, your services and solutions, you need to see that you can build trust. And I think mentioning those quotas and things like that kind of deteriorates the trust a little bit. And then another thing we saw was people are also writing in the third person, which I'm not sure why that's happening, because I don't engage with you.
And I tell you exactly why that's happening. And that's because, well, in my world, people copy and paste their CVs and professional services. CVs are written in the third person. Outside of that, that's because they pay people to write their LinkedIn profile for them.
Yeah.
And then that person writes that profile in the third person. And every time I talk to, every time I work with people in terms of, I go, read your LinkedIn profile out aloud. Read it aloud. I make them do it, and then they go, oh, yeah, right.
Yep. Light bulb. Wow, you wouldn't talk in the third person at a networking event?
What they forget is that, and LinkedIn's study also showed this, that 62% of decision makers look for an informative LinkedIn profile when considering connecting to or talking with business leadership or sales. So I need to see my relevance, which means I want to see myself I need to see the stories that are going to be related to me. I need to see that you understand. A lot of people, if they do not talk about their resume and they use it more of a sales and marketing tool, they design the profile. I want accounts like Oracle, which means I'm going to miss really those gaps, those impacts. I want to miss that personal relevance because I just made it too general now. I'm saying I want accounts like Oracle, like Microsoft, like this or like this, and I didn't get that specific. But once I get specific and I really look in data and what is happening within the company, now what can be happening with those employees, I can now start to shape a profile that will speak to Oracle as well as others that are similar to them. But I'm going to have much greater personal relevance because now I'm speaking to them. Here's gaps, here's stories that were designed for you.
How do you, I want to pick up on this kind of helping the sales and the marketing teams kind of spot the gaps, as it were, in terms of where their product service solution can fill the gap per se, because that's we're moving into sales training, right? We're actually moving into explaining to people how to sell. So how do you, and also you then got the tension, dare I say, and I'm now just focusing on sales people, not marketing. You've got sales leaders go, but I need the numbers. I need the numbers in terms of I've got to hit my numbers, not financial, but KPIs, metrics in terms of call rates, email, outbound, whatever it is. How are you dealing with that in terms of you may be working with sales teams that don't even understand the basics of what needs to be done to spot the gap, And then the tension that is, and this is actually my previous guest, another Christina, around spending more time to personalize outreach. You do less for more. How do you manage sales? Sales managers or sales reps we go, but I don't want my sales reps wasting their time on LinkedIn doing their research. I just want them doing the KPIs.
That's why they hire us to do the execution on LinkedIn. But with the ones that we work with, they want revenue objectives. They know that they need to make change. So they are moving away from these activity, because activity isn't leading to anything different. Yeah. They want that revenue growth. They want a new approach. Those are the companies that we start to work with. And we work with marketing and leadership first. We also start to work with sales and account teams to learn the stories. Yeah. I'm really trying to pull in and see, all right, you say you did this, and if you look at any case study, it's a little bit about the company. Here's the challenge. Mm-hmm. Here's the solution. We did this, all about activities, no stories. It doesn't really talk about any of the gaps. That's where we start to come in. It's like, all right, now let's look at your existing clients. Let's see those now let's pull out the information. We talk to accounts, we talk to the teams. But we go into what didn't they consider? Where were the gaps before? Mm-hmm. What were those personal impacts? And they would try to get very general, and we go and we push them to get very specific. Mm-hmm. Or even go back to the clients. Where are those impacts at the company? Not just, it improved productivity. Well, what did it do to the customer? What was that customer experience? How did that change? How did operation change? Mm-hmm. Why? We try to get behind the why versus just talking about how. Well, what we did, because in most times, technologies are very similar. Yeah. Marketing services, there's tons of people doing account-based marketing. There's tons of people doing lead gen. So it's not what you did that is really the differentiator. It's how you did it. Or not even more how, it's why. What is that approach that did differently? What did you feel that others couldn't do, and why? It is that why that is the most important part. And that's what we try to get in. Then we go in and it's like, okay, now what are the accounts? And that's why we talk about winning, protecting, and expanding. What are those accounts that are in status quo? What are the ones that are at risk? They didn't see the real full value. So where are their gaps? Where are their impacts? And what stories should we be telling? Who should we be talking to? We like working with existing accounts first because they were your initial customers. They were your initial prospects. Yeah. But no one knows how to engage with them. Everyone engages them at the manager level. Yeah. Customer success teams, I talk to these managers, but they don't know how to talk to the VPs. Mm-hmm. Sales and marketing isn't giving them the support. They're relying on accounts to try to retain them, and then we wonder why we have churn. So that's where we go. Or which ones could we have more stronger growth if they see your full value? Well, then we look into what is the customer seeing? What do you think they're getting? Where's those gaps there? What aren't they seeing? What aren't they considering? Those are the stories we start telling. From there, now we look at new accounts. What matches these stories? Which are your best accounts that we should be targeting? Now that we have these stories, now that we know the gaps, now that we have the impacts, and we see it working with existing customers, where should we go next? That's where we focus on.
You raised some such valid points there, and I think where the rubber meets the road, as it were, is the why, and then the how. And you're so right. Whenever you read a case study, it's just a list of this is what we did. And I remember back in my consulting days, a long time ago, when I was a marketing and BD function for a consulting firm, there was a partner who used to behave like a belligerent 5-year-old. Whenever we were doing pitch rehearsals and his colleagues would stand up and make some, big, grandiose statement, he'd usually be leaning back, feet on the desk, and he'd go, "So what?" And they'd get really angry with him. And he was like, "So what?" The client would never say, "So what?" It's like, yeah, the client's thinking, "So what?" And if you cannot articulate what the "so what" is in that statement, how the hell is somebody who we're pitching to going to be able to articulate the so what if you can't? And sometimes they would have like, oh my God, we're going to have a fist fight here in this meeting room. But he was doing it to actually drill down. If you cannot articulate the so what in any statement that you are saying, do not say it. And you're so right, Eric. There's so much kind of, this is what we did. And how is that going to help me in terms of what I am having to deal with?
Yeah, case studies talk about what we did. Profiles talk about what we do. Here's a profile for someone that we're actually going to be giving a profile makeover in the next couple of weeks. From LinkedIn to digital strategies, I am frequently asked to educate business owners and professionals through workshops, webinars, and presentations. I'm equally comfortable on stage or working one-to-one. I have trained thousands of people to use LinkedIn to achieve their professional and business goals. I'm at my best when I'm helping C-level executives, business owners, entrepreneurs. Notice, I will cross the gamut. Yeah. I'm not talking to anyone yet. Understand how to leverage the many facets of the internet to support the business objectives. Still, I don't see any areas of expertise. It's all over the place. My ideal clients are those. My ideal clients are those who know they need to increase online visibility, but struggle with how to do it. And again, if I know something, I'm comparing. It's becoming a price game. Who I serve. I help business owners and professionals to increase exposure, develop relationships, and generate more business leads. Claims that everyone makes. Yep. How I do it differently. Internet marketing has grown complicated and can be overwhelming. By working to understand your business and goals, I help simplify online marketing in a way anyone can understand. How many times do people say they simplify internet marketing?
And internet marketing's not even a thing anymore.
Yeah, well, that's a whole other conversation.
I have over 30 years in corporate leadership role and business ownership using technology to build and develop award-winning solutions and results. If all you need is a website, there are plenty of people that can help. If you are a trusted advisor who can identify the online strategies and solutions that will drive your business results, that's where I can help. Again, how are you going to help? Why?
I just heard fluff.
Indeed. Christina, can you give some examples, let's eat our own dog food here, or rather your own dog food, of where you've taken company, you mentioned the company name, but by working with them, executing your strategy and your approach with that organization, you took them from A to B, Christina?
A to B.
As in, this is the problem that you were brought in to fix. So revenue growth, more personal, etc., etc. Are you able to? Don't need to give me company names. I appreciate that in terms of that side of things. But this sector, this industry, if you can say a company name, awesome. And by working with us as experts, they were here and we got them to there over a 12, 18 month, 3 year engagement.
Yeah, absolutely. We worked with logistics and 3PL company called Schneider National. They're big in the US, out of Green Bay, Wisconsin. And we worked with one of their departments. We typically work with VP of sales. That's why the stuff that Eric was talking about when we talk with the sales leader about the customer stories, they're the ones that are going to have the best customer stories because they're going to know more detail and they're going to be able to answer more detail or go back to the client. So we're engaging with the VP of sales in one of the departments, and we changed her entire approach on LinkedIn and her approach to the LinkedIn's publishing platform. So the content she was sharing, articles that she was sharing on industry relevant publications, to all talk about this, the gaps that her clients were seeing in their particular logistics plans, and where Schneider was filling those gaps and how it was uniquely different, because 3PLs, at least in the States, are very competitive, right? But they're all talking about the same things. They're very old school in terms of sales, again, features, benefits, and it was making everything a numbers game. So they were competing based, they were going to RFP right away. They weren't even
RFP and price.
Yeah. Yep. So we changed the conversation to talk about actual value, and they one client was it P&G, Eric?
No, it was Sigma, but it was Well, I wanted to say that, and before we go into any results and what we did differently, Schneider, before we came, they were starting to use what we call the Challenger sale.
Yeah.
You read the Challenger book. It's one of our favorite sales processes because we like to focus on reframing prospects' thoughts and ideas. But it was only in their live conversations. Social and email didn't teach for differentiation.
Yeah.
Profiles didn't give that reframe. That's what I'm also not talking about when I talk about prospects, thoughts, and ideas. When I'm speaking to accounts, and I talk to account-specific gaps and impacts, we're also trying to think of what is that prospect thinking? What's in their mind? Why are they doing something? What actions are they taking, and why? So that we could reframe them within the profile before they even speak to us. So that's where it's about. It's changing their thoughts. And that's what people are missing when it comes to social.
Yeah.
I'm pushing at my agenda of what I do. So I give a value selling proposition, but I'm not speaking to the accounts. I'm not entering their world. I am just pushing my agenda versus understanding them, showing them I understand them, but giving them what they haven't thought about. So that's what we're doing. That's what we started to do with profiles. We're speaking to the accounts. With Schneider Logistics, they're the trucking company, but they also sold transportation management solutions. They were hitting the mid-market. Could you have enterprise with enterprise solutions? And yeah, everyone is the larger companies, Ryder, all the big companies, they give all their attention to the ones that are going to give them the most revenue. So yeah, they're getting the best transportation management solutions, the most attention, the best technology. You have solutions for the lower end, but the mid-market is where they like stuck in that middle. It's like that middle child. And that's where we started coming in and talking about the gaps. We started talking about impacts. And what happened is Sigma, mid-market company that's actually part of a large enterprise, Cisco, they were unresponsive to sales and marketing for 5 years. They were getting the general messaging. Profiles were general. The VP of supply chain at Sigma did not see that personal relevance. But when you shifted that conversation, it went from 5 years of unresponsiveness to connecting, to joining the LinkedIn community, to taking a survey, to having a phone conversation, and having a 3-month sales cycle versus an 18-month sales cycle, and became a $2 million win. It was like they keep clients for 8 years, is their normal retention, and it was like a $75,000 a year contract or something like that. But it was led to $2 to $5 million over that time period with someone that was unresponsive for 5 years. That's a big difference there. But it's because the personal relevance. I'm not just speaking at accounts. I'm not speaking at industries.
Indeed. And so was that Schneider selling to Sigma, or was that another example in terms of?
Yeah, that was what Christinas was talking about. Schneider selling to Sigma. But they were trying for 5 years, I think it was, right, Chris?
They were trying to get in, and then I was confusing stories. There was a P&G that they protected when they went to RFP to compete with another company, and they protected that risk account. I got confused, but yes, Schneider was selling into Sigma, and they were just getting nowhere. They weren't hitting any kind of dead ends. So,
and it was all, and this is the thing. It's so easy. It's so easy, isn't it? That's the thing. We all get swayed by, technology and the technology stacks. And there's actually the LinkedIn live session this morning was the European sales report, the 2020 sales report, state of sales. And again, they were touching on there around just too much technology. Let's strip it down. Let's look at our processes. Let's look at what's what. And it's not actually difficult. And I think there's a high percentage in terms of north of 60% was quoted around actually one of the most powerful things is a brand to brand referral, and how you can then start to leverage your network to do that. So if we're going to kind of summarize, so personal ABM is your big kind of one-to-many spray and pray type of sort of thing. Your approach, and I'm actually totally on board with what you say around the whole the personal ABM side of things. That's taking kind of the ABM concepts, but drilling it down to that kind of one-to-one approach. So, Christina, I'm going to put you on the spot. What would be the top 3 things, or top however many things? That's always 3, isn't it? Top however many points that's either a rep, a VP, head of marketing, CEO. I mean, let's go to the top. What would they need to think about to start kind of shifting the needle, as it were?
I think the first thing it would be is every message that you send, whether it's email, voicemail, however you're communicating, has to be personally relevant as much as you can do without sounding too, I guess, creepy, but
yeah.
So every message that you send to a prospect has to have intention. There has to be a reason that you're sending it. You're not just checking in to see how things are. Another thing I would think is just take a look at your online presence. It doesn't have to necessarily be LinkedIn, whatever networking platform you're using, whatever you're using to sell digitally. Are you talking about yourself, or are you talking about your actual targets that you want to engage with, and you understand what they're talking about, or understand what they're going through, especially now in this current market, or however this market stays. And then lastly, I would just think before you hit send on anything, read it to yourself like you were saying. Make sure it doesn't sound too templated. It doesn't sound like you're talking into a vacuum, or just read it out loud to yourself. And if you were going to get that from someone, would you delete it, or would you actually engage with it?
Well, it's a good thing. Would you respond to what you're just sending? If the answer is no, don't send it.
We have to go beyond just hitting pain points, because I'm starting to sound like everyone else. Pain points, I mean, it's just everyone is responding to those. But what we're not really focusing on is the business problem. Why are they having those pain points? What is actually going on within that company? What is the technical problem? And then what are those impacts at the company level? The rank, the division, the personal level. We're all having different gaps, impacts. As I said before, an impact to Christina is going to be a different impact to me. So where are those personal impacts? And then the customer. How are we impacting the customer because of these gaps that we might not have thought about, and how we need to adjust? That's where we need to go, is focusing on those business problems, really understanding, see what is happening. We'll go beyond data. There's a bunch of data, Bombor, all the other third-party data. We talked a little bit about this when you and I did a masterclass. There's so much data out there, but we're not creating that story to make it personal relevant. We're not figuring out a way to use that data. It's just like, it's just data. But why do they sign up for my webinar? What is now happening within that company that they could be? I'm not searching for the why. I'm not searching for the story, so I can give them an unconsidered gap. I'm not giving them an unconsidered problem. I'm not teaching them something new based on their situation. And it's their situation, their specific situation. That's what personal ABM is about. We're entering your accounts world. We're entering your prospect. What are they feeling? That's what it's all about. So that's where we're coming in with that one-on-one. So what is their problem? Where is their impact versus what is their pain point?
Perfect.
Keenan was just talking about this on his LinkedIn. He did a LinkedIn Live recently. That's another book. If you like challenger sales, his book is called Gap Selling. And that's what we're all about, is selling those gaps, because that's where the differentiated conversation is. Everyone focuses on pain points. We have to go beyond it.
We have to go beyond. We have to go beyond. What a nice place to wrap this up. So, where can people find you?
Definitely connect with me on LinkedIn. That's where I live there, just in case you hadn't realized that.
Profile in this, I'm doing this YouTube thing now. I never know where it was. Somewhere.
Wherever it is, underneath, side, somewhere.
To Christina. Eric, where can people find you?
on LinkedIn. You also take a look at personalabm.com. Take a look at stopthesalesdrop.com.
Perfect.
You also take a look at stopthesales.com/LinkedIn training.
Yeah.
That's where we did our recent training, and we talked a lot about taking a more personal account-based approach on social.
Perfect.
This is where we all need to start now.
Indeed.
It's where we don't have the face-to-face. We need to hit digital. This is where your relationships are. But yet we're not having that. As we mentioned, LinkedIn is saying 44% of organizations are seeing a significant drop in responsiveness.
Yeah.
We need to take a more personal approach, and that's going to help, I think.
I will put the links to all of those somewhere in the ether for people to connect to. But both of you, that has been awesome. Thank you so much for your time today. I really do appreciate it. For everybody that's tuned in, thank you. Please connect with both Christina and Eric. If it's from this, mention this podcast or this vlog. Definitely check out the training that I was very fortunate to be part of as well, and did a masterclass around intent data. You can check that out. But from me, thank you, Christina. Thank you, Eric. Thank you. And I will end with this. It's been my first three-way, and it's been fun. Everybody, stay safe wherever you are in the world, and enjoy the rest of your day. But that's all from us. Thanks, everybody.